We say good morning, everybody. Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with an episode this week for the Ballard Blitz. We probably should be way past episode 11. I have had to miss some weeks here or there, but we are trying to get back to a regular schedule with this. I want to keep it Wednesday mornings, and we've been trying to get it out about 7 a.m., which I think is working really well. So this week, I want to prepare you for next week. So, in the month of June, summer's upon us, 4th of July around the corner. I'm going on a beach trip at the end of the month. We're looking forward to that, seeing family I haven't seen in a few years and everything like that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But what we want to prepare you for is conference week. I hope that this grows each and every year. I hope that if I do have any fans out there, which I'm sure that I do, I got the slobs, right? I love each and every one of the slobs. Uh, you got to understand the Slob Olympics and everything. We've talked about the cruise and everything. Um, which, by the way, it's not too late to book that. Where is it? Let me see. This right here. Let me throw this up. It is not too late to book your room and get on this boat. It's 25 bucks a person, due by June 17th. You got to book by that day. Uh, Port Canaveral, Florida, out of Orlando, 3-day cruise. You can contact Uncle Lou. You probably know him. Pigskin Pete. You probably know him. Traveling Fools. It was his idea. You better know who that is. So it's not too late to get on the cruise with us. You just got to book and pay $25 by June 17th, 2024 this year to go in March of 2025. So looking forward to it. I'm excited. Can't wait. I just got to pay off the balance, which, by the way, will be due December 15th. So, and after you book, there's another date that's November 1st, I believe, is after you've already booked and you pay $50 because rooms are double occupancy. You got to pay an extra 25 bucks a person, and that is due in November. So, anyway, getting to what we want to talk about this morning. Get ready, Power 4. I mean, Power 5. Sorry. I joke because of the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is kind of falling a little bit, right? They're picking up a couple of Group of 5 teams, but for the most part, the big brands have left the building. You got Oregon and Washington to the Big 10. You also got USC, UCLA, and we'll talk about that a little bit more with our guests next week. You know, we are going to kick things off with the Pac-12 next week for conference week. It'd be 3 p.m. Eastern, featuring Mayhem Matthew and possibly Joey Foster, who, by the way, helped me get the guests that I have lined up for you guys next week. So, conference week, what is it? We take 5 days out of a week, and it's not at the same time each day. So I am working around my personal work schedule. I texted Joey Foster the times I could do these shows. Um, but what I hope is we've done this the past 2 years, and I feel like last year got better than 2022. And I hope this grows each and every year. I really do. So when I titled this Get Ready Power 4, I mean 5. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people right now are saying Power 4 because the Pac-12 has dissolved a little bit. Now you still got Oregon State. They haven't gone anywhere, but like Cal and Stanford are off to the ACC. It doesn't matter. I don't wanna get off on a tangent, but think about it. It does not matter where a team's located based on what conference they're in. It also is mind-blowing to me that let me think about this. The Pac-12 loses more than half of its members. 4 of them go to the Big Ten. Who left the Big Ten? Why is the Big Ten picking up 4? Meanwhile, the Big 12 loses Texas and OU, and they add 4 group of 5 teams. And now that started this past season, of course. You had who was it? Cincinnati? Yeah. Gus Malzahn, the Gus Bus, and UCF? Yeah. Uh, who were the other 2? Anyway, it was kind of weird in my mind that the Big 12, like, this is how out of hand this realignment has gotten. It doesn't matter how many teams you lose, you're going to add even more. It's all about power. Hence the name, the Power 5 or 4 or whatever you want to call it. But again, I title it Get Ready Power 4, I Mean 5. I did the I Mean 5 as a joke. Here's the thing for me, Ballard. I will always consider it Power 5. I will always consider the Pac-12 a Power 5 conference because it's always been there, even when it was like the Pac-10, right? Uh, we're going to cover it. I don't know what direction I want to go with it yet. I do have a couple questions written for other conferences at the moment, but that so that is what's going to kick us off, and I'll probably come up with some stuff today as I record this on June 3rd. I'll probably go ahead and come up with some stuff for the Pac-12 or the Pac-4 or again, what are we calling it, right? So, it's a new era of college football. It's a different direction. It's starting this year. It kinda started last year with the new teams in the Big 12. I get that. But if you really wanna see some change and drama, look at it this year. There's no divisions in the SEC. They're gonna take the 2 best teams, which I think is how they should have done it to begin with. I like the idea of no divisions. I personally like that because then you really get the 2 best teams in your conference. How many times have we seen LSU over Alabama? Well, I don't know. Or Clemson over Florida State instead of Clemson and Florida State, or Georgia, Florida. What are some other examples? Oh, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State. Now you could only have 2 of those teams, but I'm sure there's been those are historically good programs. What about Ohio State and Michigan? There are no more divisions, right? So Michigan, Ohio State in the game on Thanksgiving is going to mean a little bit more considering or I don't want to say considering. Let's say Sharon Moore keeps Michigan going. Jim Harbaugh's with the Chargers now. What if this new coach keeps things going? Michigan's competing for the Big Ten and they keep it going. What if it ends up being an undefeated matchup between those 2 teams? I doubt it for this season at least, because I like the direction of teams like Oregon. I like Ohio State this year. I would say Ohio State and Oregon this year for the Big Ten. That's my personal opinion, at least today on June 3rd, 2024. That's what I would go with. But no divisions. It should have been that way from the beginning, in my opinion, because if you want a championship in football, if you want the national title, You don't want Georgia TCU from 2 years ago. You kind of want what you had with Michigan, Washington this past year. I think we got the 2 best teams there. Michigan kind of ran away with that game and were the outright champs. But Washington was still really, really good with Michael Penix, Roma Dunze, Kalen DeBoer at head coach. We'll talk about him later on, I'm sure, uh, in maybe another episode. But he's with Alabama now, so I got my own feelings about that. But I would say that divisions. I am a traditionalist, but if there's one thing that's always been there that I say get rid of it, it's divisions. Why? How many times how many times did Alabama play Florida in the SEC title, and Florida had no shot of a title game? I mean, you had the Tim Tebow days, you had the rematch in '09. Then there was, like, 2015 and 2016, Alabama, all they had to do was go in there and blow them out, and they did. But what was Florida's fate? Well, they're still going to a bowl game, right? I mean, they finished up going 8-4, 9-3, plus a loss. Really? You had teams like LSU out there. You had the 2012 Texas A&M. You had what? So get rid of divisions. That's number 1. That's how I would go with it. Maybe we'll talk more about it during conference week. But again, I want to run down the guest list. I don't want to surprise you guys. I already got them in the titles of the live streams for next week. But so here's what we got. I am given 30 minutes by the one and only voice of college football, Mark Rogers. Used to be at ESPN long time. I call into his show all the time. He has given me opportunities to do Alabama post-game coverage, at least back in 2022. I'll talk to him about what I could do for 2024 this year. We will see. Uh, it actually, I want to start. Let's back up to that. So, June 10th through the 14th. So, on Monday, June 10th, we got Mayhem Matthew, Touchdowns co-host, talking Pac-12. 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. After that, June 11th, Mark Rogers at noon Eastern. Mark Rogers, June 11th, Big Ten, noon Eastern. The two Irish brothers, at least that's the channel. I'm talking to Sean of that. For the ACC, he is a Notre Dame guy, but he will have a lot of good insight. June 12th, 10 p.m. Eastern. What is next? Okay. SEC, I'm excited for this. I picked up a guy of my own, but again, I want to shout out my friend Joey Foster, who's been on our show many, many times. Helped Golden Blue Dude out. Rest in peace. Uh, Joey, thank you for helping me get all these guests. Love and appreciate you. So for the SEC, we got Twisted Rooster. You guys would know him from our channel. Jackson Johnson is an Alabama guy. And then on my own, I picked this guy up, Zach Blackerby, host of Locked On Auburn on the Locked On Podcast Network. That is June 13th at 3 p.m. The Big 12 will be the following day at 2 p.m. Eastern, Couz's Corner. Heard the name. Possibly Joey will help out with the Big 12 too. I've heard the name and seen it in the comments. I have yet to actually have talked to Couz's Corner, but I'm looking forward to talking with him. And then that wraps it up. So we go from the Pac-12 to the Big 12. So the Pac-12 first, the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC, then the Big 12. And again, yes, I'm counting the Pac-12. I think in my mind, the Pac-12 will always be a Power 5 conference. You say whatever you want to about group of 5 teams and the fall off, as long as it's still a conference and they still got a couple teams, because they still got Wazoo and Oregon State, right? They still got they got like 4 teams. I know it's not enough. I'm still gonna count them. 'Cause that's what I grew up with. I don't wanna write off a conference just because they got lesser teams than other conferences. I would agree, you could make a case and say, "Well, it's not enough teams." You could argue that, and I would fully agree, but it's still the Pac-12 to me. It's just how it is. I know some people grew up with the Pac-10, but it's just that's how I view it. Power 5. Until the Pac-12 completely dissolves and there's nothing to talk about, because at least what you could do with the Pac-12, just talk about the teams that are already in there. Talk about potential targets that could come into the Pac-12, if at all. I mean, you talk about the Pac-12 and you I mean, this is I mean, Colorado's leaving for the Big 12. Dion, you say whatever you want to about the team last year. Um, that's a huge loss. I mean, it all is. Let's not get crazy. Every team leaving the Pac-12 is a huge loss. I don't know. I still don't know what it is other than they want to um these brands like USC, like Washington and Oregon, they they want to um you just want to be better. And they have decided that, and again, maybe we'll talk about this with the Pac-12 next week. It's just not good enough anymore. It's a broken relationship. There's a new commissioner. I don't know how she's going to do, Teresa Gold, but I don't think we should write the Pac-12 off as dead yet because you never know outside of Washington State and Oregon State who they go pick up. You got some group of 5 West Coast teams out there. Fresno State's been pretty good in recent years. Just throwing one out there. You don't know. Gotta hear from you guys. If you're watching the premiere, thank you. Um, sorry if I can't get to the premiere chat. If you watch this back, leave any questions you have or comments on anything we've talked about today. Leave it in the comments section. Love and appreciate you guys. Yeah, I mean, and Power 4, I mean, Power 5, it's just it's so weird. I never thought in my life I would live to see conference realignment. Now I figured, okay, well, teams are gonna move around a little bit. This is major realignment. This is major realignment. I never thought I'd live to see this. If you had told me, um, I was I'll kinda steal from Josh Pate a little bit and the Late Kick crew. So, I was watching his show. I gotta go watch all of it. I was watching it Sunday night on my lunch break at work, and he said, "Talk about a, like a time machine." right? What if you got in a time machine, talked about the wildest era of college football? Um, what was some of the things he was saying? Something about going back 10 years to 2014 and getting in a time machine, going back to 2014, and you had to explain 2024 to somebody. And one of the ones was like, "Oh, tell them that you're enjoying NCAA 14 for the next 10 years because EA Sports loses its deal and can't come out with the game until college football 25." Another was something along the lines of, by the way, Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC. And basically, everything that's going on, Josh Pate said, go back to 10 years ago, tell somebody that. They would have called you high. They would have called you stupid. They would have called you drunk. But here we are living in it. You have to go back 10 years and explain that to them. It was an interesting conversation with Josh Pate. On his show. I did not talk to him. I didn't mean it like that. But his show is amazing. His podcast is amazing. He had a good one last night on Sunday. So I really enjoyed that. But yeah, that begs the question. I want to hear from you guys actually. Maybe you already answered this for Josh Pate. But if you would go back 10 years ago and tell your however old you were self about college football, and you had to talk to all these other college football fans. You say, "Hey, here's what's gonna happen in 10 years. Players are gonna get paid, NIL deals, transfer portal, realignment. By the way, there's a 12-team playoff." Would that 2014 you believe everything coming out of 2024 you? Would you believe all that? That's good conversation. Maybe we could talk about that on the touchdown show at Mayhem or something, right? And then you try to predict, and Josh went into this. You try to predict the next 10 years to 2034. What does that look like? You have no clue, but you could try. I think the last 10 years have been unpredictable. Unpredictable. Upsets, coaching changes, conferences, everything, man. It's been crazy. It's been fun. It's been a good episode today. But don't forget conference week next week. Looking forward to it. We are going to skip next week's Ballard Blitz, and we're just going to focus in on conference week and do the live streams. And hopefully, we can clip some stuff, get some good videos out for you guys too, and have some good conversation. Again, I want to say thank you to Joey Foster for helping me get some big time guests for this next week. I'm looking forward to each and every conversation and each and every guest on Ballard Sports Media. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Ballard Sports Media, checking out. Peace.